Yeah, and so when you moved from White Lion to Freak of Nature, you kind of went in the opposite of what we're talking about here. You kind
Yeah,
of went darker, right? It was more of a
yeah,
darker theme.
yeah.
So where were
It
you
was
at?
rehab.
Yeah, where were you at musically to go that way? Not lighter, but
Well, there.
darker.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate. I always love that when we can sort of go down a road because it all ties in together. Freak of Nature. I was joking. Rehab was all about finding my feet again, and the things that I had then discovered that had gone sort of wrong in White Line, even though I was the one who founded the band, and even though I was the catalyst of the songwriting, and would drag Vito into it. I knew that for me to create a new band that would be legit and sound legit, each would have to contribute with the songwriting. So once I formed the band of how I wanted the band, we set up in a circle in the rehearsal room, and everybody was responsible for their instrument, and they
Yeah.
didn't butt into anybody else, which means that those two albums are written that way. They were always written live, and that's what created that completely teamwork of everything. Nobody was waiting for the other person. Everybody was jumping in at the same time. Like a hockey team attacking. Like a football team defending. We were there together, and that's why that worked. Hence, why then when Freak of Nature then ends, I was bound to go solo. I could not give my heart and soul to a team anymore. I needed to just be myself.
And then fast forward a lot of years to the acoustic version of Mike Tramp. Now, I am a big fan of toned down, solo acoustic, almost an unplugged feel to music. And so for me, my favorite record of yours is Museum. I absolutely love the trip that record takes you down just because of how toned down it is from a production standpoint. So I want to know from you. You've put out so many different styles and stuff of music. Not even really genres, but styles. What is it for you? Where's the passion lie mostly for you? Like, where's the music at for you? Do you like the solo stuff? Do you like the band more? What are the benefits of each? I suppose.
It's nice to walk in on stage with a band. It's nice to sit in a car with a band. It's nice to go into a diner with a band and sit there.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to songwriting, it's nice to be alone. I love that you say Museum. Museum is one of my own favorite albums because it's one of two albums where I sort of went back into the room and started almost experimenting with simplicity, because that's really only me and my co-producer slash engineer slash multi-musician Soren Anderson on the album previous, Cobblestone Street, which is almost all acoustic,
Mm-hmm.
and then Museum. After Museum, it's now full band. Um, but the thing is that by the time I started my solo career, everybody had started sort of a family life, and I couldn't start a band anymore. Everybody always needed to go home at some time. And even though that I have had started a family too somehow, that was just part of the road, but the family would never be holding me back. I was born to run. I was born to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just part of it. So that would always take a backseat to what I was doing creative wise. And I've never been in this for glory. I've been in this because it's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I found solace. It's where I found freedom. It's where I exist. It's where everything makes sense to me. Once I turn on the TV, and I see what they call the real world, I see a bunch of grown-ups lying to each other, lying to
Yeah.
people and stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera. So within the walls of rock and roll, at least the creative parts, there was a sanctuary where you sort of were, like a playroom where there were no restriction whatsoever. If somebody says, let's put a violin on, then you go, well, let's try the violin. And if the violin doesn't work, we're going to put the Hammond organ on. So, I mean, and here we are. The reason we talk is because as I went out and dedicated myself to my solo career, every venue I would show up to would have a poster saying the voice of White Lion. And half of the audience would be there expecting White Lion. At least it made me feel like they were expecting it. And in that way, I'm very sensitive. I couldn't just go up there and just say, fuck you, man. So then I was starting introducing acoustic versions of the White Lion songs, which had been written that way. So they fitted perfect, but it was never the plan. I had said goodbye to White Lion. I had closed it down, sealed the box and put it away, started Freak of Nature. And after Freak of Nature, I'd started a solo career, and it was damn hard. It wasn't being received by record companies or anything with open arms. So I ended up on small record companies, playing clubs for a limited audience and so on. So, but I believed in my songs because they were me. So I continued. But that White Lion ghost kept chasing me through the night, through every album. And basically, sort of in and out, led me to that, let's see what happened if I bring it back out, dust it off, give it a new paint job, meaning re-recording the songs, making them, especially vocally wise, making them sound like the singer now will tell you the story in the songs. And you can hear it in his voice that he's not 25 years old. He's a grown man that has sailed the seven seas more than once, and he has the story to back it up.
Well, yeah, White Lion is definitely probably a double-edged sword for you, and I can understand the sensitivity for that. I mean, I've been to a lot of concerts in my time, and sometimes the deeper cut songs are the ones that are the better songs. Those are the better songs. But those aren't the songs that people by and large want to hear. But on the flip side of the coin of that, if you're a solo artist and that's where your passion is, now at least you're going to learn who your true fans are, the ones that are fans of Mike Tramp, not the ones that are fans of White Lion. And I think at the end of the day, yeah, that might be a good thing. You know what I mean? At least you can finally find your true fans. And I mentioned Museum because for me, listening to your catalog, that felt like it was one of the first times you were really allowed to be vulnerable as a songwriter and as a performer. And that really kind of shone through to me as a listener on that record, especially.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Some of my favorite artists, those kind of albums, when they do that kind of album that has those sort of like, it's sort of like a Quentin Tarantino movie. You basically have no idea what the hell's going on, but at the end,
it's true.
It all comes together. So all these songs are by the same artist, and you recognize it, but they're all going different places. And I would never ever do an album like that again because I could only paint that picture once. And whenever I revisit it, I go, wow, what the hell happened here? But this was, I'd written these songs, but I hadn't really put them into a set style. And here I would be in the studio with Sean Anderson at night going, wow, let's do this. And we just had a great time. And it's nice to be reminded because, of course, in this whole White Lion thing and now touring the world with this thing like that, I forget about where I've been. And sometimes when I'm reminded about it, I smile. I says, okay, you know what? If it was to end now, I have been there and I have done what I set out to do.
And you never know who's listening, man. You know what I mean? You just never know. And you don't know who you're reaching.